I just finished making this ornament, and I gotta say it turned out really, really cool. I really like how this came out. So I want to show you how you can make one as well. And it all starts with a pattern. So let's roll that intro. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today I'm making the pattern for the 9th ornament here. So I've got my template. I made this smaller than I would normally do for a bracelet because I don't need the ornament to be so big. And I already have the colors pulled for this. So yeah, it's kind of this kind of golden color and like a gray. So I already kind of put a little mark up at the top so I'd have both colors ready. I'm really excited about this one. I really think that like each one has been a really interesting, unique, fun design. But this one's kind of neat. So it's basically I have to make three bracelet-ish things like this, and I'm making a great big diamond here right in the middle. That's kind of exciting, but then it's going to go into an arrowhead. So I'm making 3 of these, and then they all kind of join to make it kind of like a ball, which I think is really, really going to look pretty cool. It's how they join together that is really kind of what makes the whole thing. So if you're like really interested in trying to make one of these for yourself, you'll want to see tomorrow's, because that's where I will have put it all together and made it. Mind you, I say it's tomorrow's video because I know that I release things daily, but there is a chance that this is going to take me a few days to make. So just so you don't feel like, you know, you're somehow not as good as I am or something, it all comes down to the fact that I'm working on these well in advance. So yeah, that's kind of how this whole thing is going about. All right. So this should come out like that, I guess. Cool. Then the gray inside, and then yeah, so it's basically a big arrowhead with a huge diamond center, 2 colors, 24 strings. Oh, and I'm going single-stranded with this one, so it's gonna make it look a little bit smaller and a little bit more dainty when I get the whole thing finished, which I think is gonna be cool. It'll be a nice contrast from the really big ones that I just put together. So my goal really is to have different sizes, different whatever, because everybody's going to think that, you know, they want it bigger, they want it smaller, they want it to fit a certain whatever. So I'm trying to give examples that would make it so that way, whatever it is you're into, it'll be awesome. So I'm pretty sure I can just go alternating, you know, one then the other. But it kind of makes sense to kind of get the underlying strings in. And mind you, I didn't have to fill in all this other side over here. It just mirrors. So hang on, let's take a look how this goes. Get this filled in. Like I said, I'm really excited about this. So far, we've got 8 really interesting patterns made. So the 9th one obviously I gotta try to keep up the momentum and make cool stuff. And I'm trying to keep the pattern sort of easier. I want it to make it so that way, you know, somebody kind of, not exactly beginner, but, you know, getting into making patterns and stuff could get into making this as well. So also, I kind of really like the idea of the big diamond in the center, because I think it'll make the ornament that much more interesting to look at. There'll be a, you know, like a focal point right in the middle of this whole poofy thing. It'll be pretty round, I imagine. Mind you, these are prototypes, so I can't say definitively what it will look like, or if I've even made this pattern long enough, or for that matter, it could be too long. I really won't know that until I, you know, actually make it and put it all together. So yeah, it's one of those things where, as much as I pretty much overthink it, I wouldn't say that I just think about these things. I really overthink all of the steps involved. And yeah, I think that what I've come up with is a pretty good idea. All right, so now we've got this side, all the strings are in there. The next one here is a gray, so that would have come through underneath all of these. So yeah, and then the next color in will be the gold. So yeah, it just alternates, not a big deal. This will come down like that. Yeah, and this gray is just, oops. Gotta watch the lines there. Yeah, so it's just every other one. Nothing big. So this is kind of actually technically the easiest part of the whole thing, right? I don't have to tie any knots. I'm just clicking and putting in the colors and just double checking. Yeah, this all just works out fine. It's just every other one now. Yeah. And because it's every other color, when it comes to these zigzags, you don't actually have to zigzag with the knots. You could just keep going straight, which is a great way to make it so that way you don't use one strand more than others. So yeah, and I guess it would really make it easier for the person who's not really good at doing knots that change directions. If that's something you struggle with, then you could do this pattern just doing the knots that go to the left and to the right. So that would make things a whole lot easier. And then it's got some nice big rows in here, which should make it nice and fast. Although they're kind of like just a chevron, so that's probably going to make it so like you can't really segment, if you know what I mean, like, because you just have to do one row and then do the other side. So yeah, but yeah, filling this in now has become a whole lot easier, because just follow any given color on down. I'm gonna finish this up as quick as I can, so then we can get on to, well, basically as soon as I finish this, I'm going to start cutting up string and get ready to actually make this. This will take, like I said, probably a couple days, because I'm essentially making 3 bracelets to join together. And yeah, 24 string bracelets, they tend to take a little bit. So even though I've made this a bit smaller, it's still likely to take a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's, you know, putting a little time and effort into your project to have something nice. And mind you, like when I make bracelets, right, they last for years and years and years. Like the one I made on my way to Singapore, I wore that for 6 years, and the only reason I took it off was it was getting kind of frayed, and I didn't want to lose it. But I probably could have worn it easily for maybe even another year. So yeah, they last a really long time, even getting, you know, completely abused and through the shower and everything else. So I imagine that making an ornament that's just gonna sit like most of the year in a box and then, you know, the rest of the time like out on display, I suspect these things will last a really, really long time. Okay, I'm just looking for any things I missed. I think I got them all. Okay, so now I'm going to use the select tool and select the side that we finished up. Copy, paste, and the flip tool. Flip it over there. Anchor that in place. Then I can take the whole top half. Control C, Control V. Flip tool again. And anchor it. And so there's our design. It's a little, the colors aren't contrasty enough to make it really pop on the screen, but I think the colors I actually chose for this will actually make the ornament look really cool. And yeah, so I'm gonna get to working on that like right away because I really want to see this thing done. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for just, you know, being interested in making designs and bracelets. It means a lot to me, and if the fact that you're still here says a lot. So if you can, hit the like button, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. All right, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.